Hello, hello, hello.
You're muted.
Oh, still muted. Hello, hello, hello. A little echo, just a little. I will not be talking long. I will not be talking long. Does that bother you guys? It bothers me a little bit. All right, so welcome to It's Something About Her, our second mixer of the year. We are so excited about our guest of honor, Miss Jennifer Small. She is an amazing person. You guys have heard me speak about her on several occasions, especially during the Well Woman experience. And I will briefly tell you that story and then I will give everything over to her. During our preparation time, I sent a flyer to her after meeting her at a business summer series seminar at Scratch Bakery and told her a little bit about myself and our organization. We were brand new, 3 months old. And she was like, yeah, just email me and we'll chit chat. And she was a woman of her word, great character, integrity, and I am truly honored to say that we have continued our relationship. She took my flyer, told me the changes to make, told me what words to put up there, then told me to do a capability statement and just share a little bit more about our organization, our mission, and our vision, and the impact that we wanted to make in the community. And she sent it out all over Hampton Roads. And because of her generosity and her willingness to avail her network, we had over 30 resource vendors at our conference. The first conference we had on a scale that we did last year. Well, it's this year, but it feels like last year. So I am so grateful, will forever be grateful. And she said yes again. So tonight she is allowing us to have a little peek in her brain and give us some business tips and tell us how those brown and blacks, those that may be also economically challenged, can leverage funding as well as some information about socioeconomic categories. So we're not going to put her in a box. We're going to let her talk about whatever it is she's willing to share. I'm going to share this because we are a little late, but I'm going to find you and see where you are so you can get on and get this information. So please like and share. Without further ado, I introduce to you Miss Jennifer Small, and she will tell you all about herself.
So a year and a half ago I was honored to be actually chosen to be a workforce development person in the role I'm in now, and I quickly realized that you had to have resources and you had to have partners and you had to be out in the community talking to people. And so I would go into prisons and talk to people, and I would just be in the community talking to people. And everyone felt that they wanted to start their own small business. Thank God I worked with some wonderful women who were very good at coaching small business. And so I learned a lot from them. And I think the most important thing I learned was do it right and do it slowly. And don't sign a lease until you've talked to the city where you want to have your business. So I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of people will sign a lease and then go talk to the city, and they're locked into a lease for a year, but the business that they want to open can't open in that space. And that happens with restaurants. It happens with daycare centers. It happens with um, a lot of different companies you think can just go anywhere and they can't, and it just depends on what's happening within that city. So always check with your city before you sign a lease, but do things right. Decide what your company is going to be, get your legal name, and talk to so there's the Small Business Development Center. That's the State of Virginia Small Business Development Center. They're an incredible organization. They're state, and they will help you walk you through the processes. There's also the Small Business and Supplier Diversity Office. Again, those are organizations, they're state organizations, and they will help you through the process. If someone tells you that you're going to have to pay to learn how to open up a small business, they're wrong. You don't have to pay to open up a small business. There are state organizations that are continually out there, providing services, providing classes. And if you go on Eventbrite and you type in small business, all the different things that are happening within small business will show up on Eventbrite. And then you can use Eventbrite to figure out what you need, and you make appointments and talk to people. You don't have to pay somebody to teach you how to do it. The information is out there. It's free. And there are continually classes out there about opening a small business. I think one of the things I heard recently about small businesses is that the lack of child care centers in the United States is considered a national emergency. In our area specifically, because we have a huge amount of military and contracted military workers, like the shipyard and things like that, the lack of daycare, lack of 24-hour daycare in our area is a national emergency. So if you're good with children and you're a nurturer, I would encourage you to look into opening a daycare. And you can start with a home daycare, and from that you can move into get yourself a building or an office. I see there's a wonderful daycare center in Hampton that's actually two different ends of a plaza. So there's a daycare center here, there's a whole bunch of stores, and then there's a daycare center at the other end. So there's a lot of different spaces. But again, what's the first thing I said? Talk to the city before you sign a lease. You need to make sure whatever it is you want to put in a space can go there. And make sure that you're talking to the person that actually works in the office that codes and compliance. Don't talk to someone that works in a different office and about something that's a code and compliance. Make sure you're talking to codes and compliance person, because they're the ones that are going to be able to tell you what can and what cannot happen in those spaces. And if your landlord tells you, oh yeah, they can do it, landlord wants to rent the space. So remember that. And then there's the SBA, which is the Small Business Association, Small Business Administration. That's the federal government. All of these things are actually available online. You can go to the SBA.gov and you can read all about small businesses. You can you can look up what a SWAM vendor is, small minority-owned businesses. And then there's the other one, which is the DBE, and although I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but essentially it's disadvantaged businesses. So it's, for instance, you own a small construction company, you're never going to get one of those huge accounts. But those huge accounts within their contract, if they're a federal or a state contract, there's a certain amount of minority businesses, disadvantaged businesses that they have to bring in. So you can get into those by using the small business and the and I always forget that word, I'm sorry. But with the disadvantaged business, thank you, the disadvantaged business, getting that certification. But one of the things I learned recently was get your small business certification first, make sure that's set, and then do the DBE certification, because that takes a long time, and it will hold, if you try and do them at the same time, it'll hold up your SWAM certification. So again, that's why you need to go to these classes. So you look on Eventbrite and you type in small business, and you're going to find a whole bunch of things that are going on. And they're in all the different cities. Portsmouth does them, Chesapeake does them, Virginia Beach does them, Hampton does them, Williamsburg, Richmond. So they're all over the place, and they're continual. And then they're out there just because their goal is to help you start a small business the correct way. But I'm going to circle back again, because that's what I do when I talk. So, and that's just how I am. So, you decide you want to open up a hot dog stand, and you found out that yes, you can have it here, and and you think, well, I'm just going to get a grant, and that grant is going to help me help me get myself together to open up that small business. That does not exist. So if someone tells you it does exist, don't believe them. It does not exist unless you've been given cash in your hand to do something. Just trust that it's not going to happen. Once you've been in business for 2 years and you can prove that you're a viable business and you have your tax returns and all of the correct kinds of paperwork, then you can start applying for different kinds of grants and different kinds of subsidies that are out there. And again, childcare. there is huge opportunities out there for people that are opening childcare centers, but you start small in your home or in a small space. And then after 2 years, once you have that 2 years of official records, you and you can apply for the grants that are out there. But the one thing that's interesting is some people will do the small business but never pay themselves. So then when they go to apply for grants or a loan from the bank, because you might even have to get a loan, they show no income to themselves, and the bank isn't going to give them the loan because they've never shown their own income. So you have to make sure to pay yourself, when you have a small business, because you're never going to get a loan if you can't prove you're making money for yourself. So this is the reason you need to go to these classes and talk to these people, because they will tell you the right way to do things. And again, you don't have to pay to learn this stuff. This is stuff that's online, available in classes all over the state, and continual. It's not like it only happens once a year. They're continually, in different places. There's some coming into Hampton soon. The Hive in Virginia Beach, again, does a great job. But there's a lot of information out there to learn how to do all these different things. I did write myself some notes. So the SCC, which is the State Corporation Commission, that's where you would go to actually make your business a legal business. So people asking, what is your SCC number? Have you registered with SCC? And that makes your company official. You can name it whatever you want, but when it goes to the SCC, that's when it becomes an official business. So, is there anybody out there? Do we have anybody visiting us yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people are in and out.
Okay.
I'm letting them know because we were a little late letting people that.
Anybody has any questions or thoughts or they would like to talk about? But again, I would suggest anybody that's interested is, starting small, something and that, I guess, again, that's another thing. If you decide to open a childcare facility, you need to have something that proves you have the education to do that. And it's not that you have to go out and get a bachelor's degree, but you need to go get CPR certified and get those small classes taken care of that prove that you can take care of children, and that you have the ability and the knowledge to take care of children. Because there was a time that men would start businesses and they would use their wife as the person that owned the business. And that was squashed because a man would open a mobile welding company and use his wife's name, but she didn't know how to weld. So now to become a disadvantaged business, you actually have to know, the owner actually has to prove that they can do that job. So you can't just put someone's name on it because they will get you that certification. The person's name that's on the business has to be able to do that work. And I do know a woman who owns a welding company. She owns it and she is a certified welder. So, women can they can open any kind of business, but whatever business you open, the person that's going to be on that has to be able to actually do those jobs. They have to have the credentials to do those jobs. We can't just use somebody else's name to get the designation of a small business or a disadvantaged business.
Can you discuss some things about the underserved community and maybe some things that you see on a daily basis or things that we can avoid?
Okay, so I deal with a lot with and we call them the underserved, and I almost feel like they're the under-resourced. They've not been given the resources in their neighborhoods, in their communities, and one of them, and actually one of the basic resources that I talk to people a lot, is that I think about the neighborhood I grew up in, and the bus came through 8 times a day. 4 times in the morning, 4 times in the afternoon. We always had buses coming through. A different part of town, the buses came through in the morning and in the afternoon, twice a day. So when I wanted to get to and from work, I could work a lot of different shifts because I had a lot of different choices in the bus. If I wanted to go shopping, I had a lot of different choices. In the other community, they had the morning bus and the afternoon bus. So they didn't have choices of when they were going to work or when they were going to shop, because they had a smaller pool of resources. And it's not that my community was any smarter than an under-resourced community. We weren't more talented. We weren't more ethical. We just had more resources, and people do with their resources what they can do with their resources. I talk to people about this a lot, and I think Hampton is really making some changes in their neighborhoods. I think Hampton is doing a great job. Norfolk is doing a great job. Portsmouth, they're all trying to change the unevenness of resources in neighborhoods to make it so that people have the ability to get out and use those resources to make their lives better. I know currently in the community colleges, there are grants for people to upskill their education. There's grants for people to not only go to school, but so if you get a job and you're not 100% qualified, there are actually on-the-job training grants, and there are upskilled training grants through the Workforce Council, where your employer will actually get paid to help you learn the on-the-job skills or the upskilled training. So there's a lot of grants out there for employers. There's education grants. Anybody that wants to go into the mariner industry, the welding, the ship fitting, the HVAC, those things, there's grants to get people into those trades. They're very, very good trades, very solid trades, but that doesn't mean you're stuck in that trade. The vice president of human resources at the shipyard actually started out as a welder, and then he went to college and got a degree, and now he's the vice president of human resources, but he started out as a welder. And I talk to people about this a lot. The ladders of employment. Get a job, get any job, learn how to work a job, learn those skills you need in a job. And there's, as basic as reading a schedule and getting to work on time and working your job, those skills that you need to work a job, learn that. And while you're learning that, then go take one class and talk to your employer. Maybe your employer does, refunds classes, so they'll help you pay for classes. And so take one class. And then once you've taken that class, then take one more class, one at a time, and learn what you like. Find out what you like. There's a technical school in Newport News, and I can't think of the name of it, and I probably wouldn't say it on live anyway. But one of the things that I heard the man say was that when he has a student and the student isn't doing well, he doesn't throw the student out of class. He moves the student to a different trade to see if he likes that trade better, if he's better at that trade. And then if he doesn't do well at that trade, he'll move him to another trade. But he said he moves his people around, and sometimes they end up back at the original trade because now they've learned different things, and now they are interested in it. But I thought that was a great way of saying, look at different things, try different things, figure out what it is you like, what are you passionate about. I was talking to a young man recently, and he loves video games, and people roll their eyes when you hear, oh, they love video games, but they're actually using that technology of what they would use for video games to actually program and run robotic welders. So people will have a tablet, and they'll use that tablet to control the robotic welding machines. So we think that when they're playing video games, it's useless. But what we're learning is that is a technology that's being used, in the industry because we can't get enough welders, so we're going to have robotic welders.
We have a question for you, and Nanashka said very important to get solopreneurs to employer businesses within underserved community. The question we have is, what type of resources and support does the Economic Development Department offer to local businesses?
So economic developments are going to have a small business division, and they will have some grants. But again, your business, to get most grants, your business has to fall into a certain category. They're not going to pay you to open up their business. They're not going to pay you to buy a building. But I know the city of Hampton has a Cascade grant, so they will help you fix the look of your front of your building. So they have a small grant that will help you fix the look of your building. So whatever city you're in, talk to your economic development people and ask them what they have. And if they, and ask them, where is it written, and get the written documents that tell you what they have and how it's dispersed. And it could be the economic development, it could be the economic development authority, which is also another division of economic development. So, talk to those people in those buildings, in those departments, and ask them, what is out there for them. Again, there's also within Small Business Administration, there are grants out there also. Again, the Small Business Administration, and I don't know if you were here when I was speaking about, getting to the free classes, but if you go to Eventbrite and you type in small business, you can get all of these free classes. You will find people that will charge you to learn about around small businesses, but you don't need to get charged. You can get everything you need to know through the state or the federal government in free seminars that go on continually all over the state. I hope that helps.
We have another question here. Are there tax incentives available for businesses looking to expand or relocate in the area?
That would be the individual cities, and it would be the individual economic development, their economic development in the different cities. So if that is something that you are looking at, I would contact the different cities that you're considering moving to and seeing what they have. A city that maybe has just lost a huge amount of business might have more incentives to bring other businesses in.
That's good to know. So a city that lost a lot of businesses, is that like where we drive downtown sometimes in different cities and you see empty buildings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So like Detroit right now, I was in Detroit last week, and Detroit is actually doing very well. They hit rock bottom when all the industries, the auto industries, pretty much, like 80% of them closed down. So Detroit had a really hard time, and they're doing a lot right now, but they're trying to figure out how to bring in sustainable businesses. I think the thing that's in Hampton Roads, where we're lucky, is we have so much military, and not only do we have military, but we have the support services of military, and we have the building of submarines and the building of ships, and then we have the offshore wind that's happening, and then we have all the marine terminals. So we don't have one thing that could stop and hit our economy. We have a lot of different points to our economy that help us stay together. We have excellent university. We have Hampton University, we have Christopher Newport, we have William and Mary, ODU. So we also have excellent universities. So we have all of those components needed in an area to help your economic futures.
Some people are on my personal page. Question: can you provide information on any business incubators or accelerators that you may know of that the city supports?
So there's the Hampton University has one, and I will send you the other two because I can't remember what they are, but there are 3 in the city of Hampton. There's also a maker's space, which is a very interesting concept. So you can Google the incubators, and you can Google if you Google them, you'll find there's a small business incubator. There's maker's spaces which allow you to come in and try your thing. They've got they have equipment in there that people can use. So look at maker spaces. There's I want to say there's 3 in the city of Hampton. I know one of them is at Fort Monroe, and I think the other one is over by NASA.
Okay.
And I actually think Hampton University might be the 3rd one.
Okay.
So the maker space is a really good avenue to try and figure out what you want to do, or is your thing viable. And then the other thing I like to always tell people, because this is like very, very unknown thing, is that NASA has just under 2,000 patents that we have paid for with our government tax dollars, but they have just under 2,000 patents. and you can look through their patent list and you can license one of their patents and you can build a business off of it. That's where solar energy came from. That's where hydrogen energy came from. That's where the nitrogen energy is coming from. So again, look at NASA. You want something that's already done for you, that's done. And all you have to do is license that patent and then build a business off of it. So, and a lot of people don't know that about NASA unless someone has told you. So NASA is a great place to look to build a business.
So you can build a business off of a patent that NASA.
Yes. So you don't have to do legwork. NASA has done the legwork. They've done the legwork. They have it patented, and then you can license that patent. Didn't know it, did you? People don't know that. So it's one of the other things I like to tell people is that there are opportunities out there, free opportunities. You just have to know where they are. And NASA, just under 2,000 patents they have. And who knows what they're all about.
Oh my goodness.
So
success. That's what they're about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I've actually never had the chance to go look through them, but I think it would be like very interesting to look through the patent list and see what they have, what's available, and what you could potentially build a business off of.
You kind of talked about this one, but maybe they were late, right, Yomi? Yomi was like, wow. This is about the licensing, navigating the zones and stuff. I'm copying it. I just copied it over. It says, how can the Economic Development Department assist with navigating zoning laws and land use policies?
Okay, so actually, that's not economic development's. That's not their role. It's actually the codes and compliance, the codes departments. So then they usually work hand in hand. Some cities have a development department that has everybody in that. City of Hampton they have a community development, and then they have economic development. So some cities have them together, some have them changed. But I would get on LinkedIn and find out who are the people that work in economic development and who work in community development in your cities, and start reaching out to them and find out who is your codes person, who is the guru. There's in the City of Hampton, there's a small business liaison within the codes department. So that person is the small business liaison. That person will tell you, whether you're, what to do to get where you need to be. But again, your cities, the state and the federal government has a lot of free information, and use them for that free information. And Eventbrite is a great place, again, to get information about where things are happening, what classes are out there. Hi.
Hi, do you have any questions, anything?
I do.
Yes.
So from your perspective, like here in Hampton Roads area, what are like some businesses that you feel like are kind of oversaturated and wouldn't be so good to get into? And which ones do you think are, high growth, like a good bet?
I think restaurants are oversaturated.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because nobody can find enough employees.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can find enough employees. So a restaurant that didn't need employees, a restaurant that needed fewer employees. And I see this a lot in restaurants where the restaurant will have a sign, we are not fully staffed, please have patience. I was in the airport recently in Detroit, and they had it was a very busy day in the airport, and they had half the section closed off. And the woman said, because I'm the only server, you can sit down, but I can't help you. So they had half of it. So I think food services is oversaturated because people can't afford to work for the wages that food services can afford to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that simple. You can't, if you can't afford. And I was talking to my sister. She's getting ready to build a production business in New York, and I said, if you can't afford to pay people to work your business, then you can't afford to open up a business. So or you have to open up a business and it has to be just you and your husband until you can build it to where you can afford to hire somebody to work. I think opportunities are anything that has to do with the shipbuilding with, so, you know, they're building all these ships, but they need a whole bunch of bolts, you know, and they need paint and they need wrenches to, you know, so I think it's not, you know, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to open up a shipbuilding company, but you might be able to open up a company that supplies something to those ships. You know, are they using tile on their floors? Are they using carpeting? Are they, you know, what kind of things are they purchasing? And can you build a business off of that?
We have a question. Naomi said, what if you're not by a naval base,
For
like shipbuilding, since that's an area of opportunity? What if a person is not necessarily by a naval base? Is there something that they can do as well to build a business around shipbuilding?
again, I think what I would do is I would look at what is the shipyard buying, what products are being bought. So interesting. So in the state of Virginia, they have to, when you work for the state of Virginia and you have to purchase something, you have to go to SWAM vendors first. So you have to go to SWAM vendors first. You know this. So
Can
there.
you touch on that though?
Okay.
Why do they have to go to SWAM?
So it's because historically what was happening was the huge companies were getting all the bids, and the huge companies, because they could buy more and sell cheaper, they would get all the contracts. And our wise government decided that a certain percentage of purchases within certain organizations had to be from SWAM vendors. So there was a man who got a contract to provide beds at one of the, I'm not sure which one it was, but it was one of the home for disabled adults, one of the state-run homes for disabled adults. And the man went to like mattress discounter or something and bought all these mattresses, and he sold them to the state. He sold them, but he was a small business, so he got the contract. So and I've seen people go, they have a contract for food services, and so they're going to be the main food service person that's going to provide food to certain organizations in the state. To the state, you have to look at small businesses first. And if you can't get it at a small business, then you can go outside. But you always have to look at the small businesses first. So there's a lot of small computer companies that work for the state, food service companies, office supply companies. I would look into, you can, so EVA, Electronic Virginia, EVA is the state website to purchase. Look at EVA. EVA is a great way to explore. You can see what contracts are out there, and see what they need. But you can, so there's another thing too, which is what is it called? Essentially, it's an unsolicited proposal. So you for instance, that you make widgets, and this, and that the state or the city uses widgets, but they're having a hard time, but they haven't put a proposal out. You can give them an unsolicited proposal for something you can do. And if that's the thing that they take unsolicited proposals under consideration. You would send it to the purchasing department, but also all the purchasing departments, they have a yearly vendor fair. CNU has a huge one every year, where they bring in all these small business vendors, and then they tell them what things they're looking to purchase. So the organizations do bring in small businesses because they know they know they have to purchase from small businesses. So they bring the small businesses in and give them lists of what they do. So if you look at reverse vendor fair, and that's what they're usually called, as a reverse vendor fair, and where, so for instance, CNU did it, and all their departments were there, and their departments would have lists of what that department purchases. So then you could look at that list, look at the list, and if that was the things you were selling, then you would know to, because all the state organizations go through EVA to purchase things. And you would just go to EVA and you could find that, and you could sell to CNU. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different ways. Again, Eventbrite, small business, that's where you're going to find so much of this information. And, different seminars, and just look and see what people are doing. And then, like, if you don't live near the thing that's being built, that doesn't mean that you don't live near an organization that has you don't live near. Okay, so I'm from Buffalo, New York. And in Buffalo, New York, we didn't have all the components to build the cars we built. But there were other organizations that made and then shipped them in. So just because you don't live near that business doesn't mean you can't be a part of it. Right now, one of the things that I've heard them talk about in the economic forecast is they call it the Richmond to Virginia Beach pipeline, where they're going to be things are going to be built as far away as Richmond, and they're going to be bringing them down back and forth. So that's the pipeline that they're talking about, because we don't have enough space here to be building everything. We don't have enough people here to be building everything. So they're going to build this. It's a pipeline of companies. And you'll see a lot of companies in Williamsburg, York County. There's a lot going on there. Isle of Wight. Where's the paper mill? Franklin,
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, warehousing stuff going down there, because they can bring, the warehouses can hold things while it's in transit.
Right.
So,
Oh, that's awesome. We have a question. Can you provide data or insights on local market trends, demographics, and economic conditions that might impact businesses?
no, I can't, but it's out there. So,
Where could someone find something like that?
so there is, you can go to Department of Labor to find labor statistics. And can I look at my phone real quick?
Yeah.
Because there was something got sent out today, and I can tell you who put it out.
Look at that. We hot off the press.
Sweet.
Yes. How are you? Would you like something to drink?
I got work.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Okay.
drink this drink too. but,
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I can see some
Yes.
too.
Help yourself.
This is Priya, by the way.
Hi, Priya.
Happy to have you here.
I have been listening good things about you, and I was very excited.
Yes, we're excited to have you here.
LJ was talking always about you.
Yes. Let me come up while she is doing that. All right, so listen, I'm muted.
So listen, I don't know how excited you are. Hey, Tamika. She said, hey, Jennifer.
Hey, how are you?
She said, how are you? Lynn said, hi, Tamika. Hey, girl, hey.
Said to find this.
We are so excited. Listen, you are awesome. We have to get you in here and share some of your expertise.
Yes.
We have to get you in here, maybe in between your she said, hey, Lynn. In between your Arizona and your next location, we could get you in here. So I'll send you a message and see what we can get you in to discuss, as well as some of our chat and choose.
So
Yeah.
Hampton Roads Alliance.
Okay, she's ready. Let me get out of the way.
So Hampton Roads Alliance has a lot of data that they collect, and also all the Virginia VPCC, Virginia Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. So all the Chamber of Commerces in all that. So the local Chamber of Commerce, the area Chamber of Commerce, the state Chamber of Commerce, they will have all of this data about businesses and all that very important information that you would need to look at when you're building your business. And look at, they're going to tell you what businesses are in what they're in critical need of. If you're a female and you open up a welding business and you can teach welders, again, women owned, and it's welders are critical. So look at what's needed out there, but in the Hampton Roads Alliance, but Chamber of Commerces are actually really good too, because they really have a pulse on each individual city and what's going on in each individual city or an individual area. There's the Peninsula Chamber, and they understand what's going on in the Peninsula. And then these are actually excellent organizations to actually belong to, and to go to their events and their meetings, and see what they're talking about. Right now, there's one that's coming up with the Virginia Peninsula Chamber, and it's talking about energy. How are we going to satisfy our future energy needs? Where is that coming from?
Do you know when that event is?
I can look it up.
Okay. While you're doing that, we have another question. It's kind of in line with what you're speaking on now. We'll wait.
I'm listening.
Oh, you sure?
Mhm.
Does the Economic Development Department organize any events or forums for business owners to share ideas and collaborate?
No, but there is. There are other places. Let me find them. There, again, Eventbrite is golden. I love Eventbrite. I do a lot with Eventbrite because that's where you can find everything. I just sent some information to somebody the other day.
And you can always come to our mixers. The weather was bad this month, but you can always come to one of our mixers and network and share ideas and collaborate.
So if you go to https, startupvirginia.org is an organization for startup businesses. Startupvirginia.org. And then if you do hrchamber.com, that's the Hampton Roads Chamber, and they will tell you about incubators and accelerators. So incubators, accelerators are organizations that help you incubate your business and accelerate your business. They're just kind of what they say they are. So that's hrchamber.com, and they have incubators and accelerators. And they give you, there's a list of them, and you can look at what they are and what they're doing. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here.
Put that in the chat. Startupvirginia.org. And you said the chamber. What was the other one?
So it's HR Chamber. I lost it. I'm sorry.
HR Chamber.
HR Chamber, and that one's going to be .com. But I want to make sure I have the right thing. hrchamber.com, and then if you search incubators and accelerators, and that'll tell you the incubators and accelerators that are in the area. Because there's different ones for different industries. So I think if someone started a small business social organization where small businesses could meet and talk. Because what I find, every small business event that I go to, after the event, people hang out and talk. And they talk about what they're doing. That's how we met. They talk about what they're doing. They're talking about their hopes and their aspirations, and they're hearing what other people are doing, and finding out, about other businesses. And just because there's another business out there, doing the same thing, it doesn't mean that your business isn't going to be successful. Because, a small business is a small business. They can't be everywhere. So I think that's like the beauty of having a small business is that you can be in just a small area and do your thing. Again, my sister is she has a degree in art education, and she's retired now, and she has actually decided to open a business pouring ceramics. So it's a production facility pouring ceramics, because no one in the area pours ceramics anymore. They've all closed their businesses down, and her husband, they're bored. They need something to do, and she still loves doing her ceramics, and she teaches her little classes. So she is now working on purchasing a building and turning it, building a production facility so she can do this. So production, and you wouldn't think someone is 65 years old is going to go back into business, but she sees a need for it, but she also needs them herself for her own small business. So look and see what's out there. What is out there that you need that you can't get a hold of? What is that thing that you are trying to use in your business that you can't get a hold of? What are the things that are needed? And the silliest things sometimes become the rage of of small businesses, and really put people on the map when it comes to what they've decided to do. But again, we've talked about this before. But remember, NASA. I'll say this all the time. NASA has just under 2,000 patents. You look through the patents, you license one, and you can build a business off of it. So who knows what NASA does? I have no idea all the things that they do to put a rocket into space. But I did hear today that now they're working on having gardens in space. So does that mean that they've done a bunch of work, that they've got a bunch of patents now on gardening? Specific kinds of gardening. Maybe that's something that someone should go in and look at to license. Freeze-dried food that came from NASA. Because they had to freeze dry food to send it to space because they needed it to be safe. In the restaurant industry, there's a thing called HACCP, which is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, and it's a way to keep food safe from from the beginning to the time it's put into your body. How do you keep food safe? H is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, HACCP. It was developed at NASA. It was developed at NASA to keep astronauts safe, so that they had a safe food chain. So now it's used in all restaurants. It's used in hospitals. It is the standard. HACCP is the standard of keeping food safe, and came out of NASA. So NASA they just do a lot of stuff. So
What if you have a business or product idea, right? But you have no idea, nor the skill set of even how to go about producing it.
So that's the business. That's the maker spaces and the business accelerators and the incubators, because they're usually with other people that are doing the same things, people that have ideas. There's so a girl I know that was developing a hand cream. She was going through a program at a university, and the people that were in the sciences program at the university would use the products from the incubator and the maker space, and they would test them for free because it was part of their education to learn how to test. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So her products got tested for free through the university because it was something that helped the students in the university. And she was in an incubator or maker space within the university. So so there's a lot of stuff going on in universities. Hampton University is doing some great things. I say that's because it's the closest to where I live, but they're doing some great things. And then the maker spaces are important to look at. And NASA.
Naomi just looked up. She said, I just looked up NASA patents. There are a lot of them. So
Yeah, and there's like they say just under 2,000, and there's all different. What do people in space use to keep their bodies clean? Could that be redeveloped for hikers or for campers? Or for the military, or people that are, in confined spaces, So, what are they doing, and how can it be flipped, to do something, in the area? There's a company right now that is building solar panels, that for military bases. So like, I live on a military base. I have an EV car. It's this, and I can drive into this, and it's a solar panel. I plug it in, and it charges my car overnight. But if the electricity goes out on the base, all of that energy is transferred to the base. So the base is allowing them, because the energy is getting transferred to the base. And then there's another company that's building a mobile, so they can just fold it up. And if they get changed duty stations, they fold it up and take it with them. And so they're taking their solar power with them, because it's just folded up and gone with them. So there's a lot of interesting things being done, people thinking, outside of the box. And I think that's where the best ideas come from, is outside of the box. And how can you use this technology in a different, unusual way that's also very needed, because there's a lot of things that are needed. And I think that's
we have a question. Are there any partnership opportunities with the city for projects or initiatives that could benefit both my business and the local community?
I think, again, that would be looking at what the city's purchase. That's where most of the most come through, is what are the cities purchasing? What do they need? The school system uses pens and pencils. The economic development buys paper. Different organizations, different parts of the organizations buy different things. So again, look for reverse vendor fairs within your city. And again, CNU should be having one coming up soon. But the reverse vendor fair is something very interesting. And again, then there's EVA. We've talked about EVA, which is Electronic Virginia, and you can go into EVA, Electronic Virginia, and you can see what they purchase. And I honestly believe a lot of the cities use EVA, but if they don't, you can still go into the city's website to see what they're purchasing. And they will put out and I don't know what it's called, but they'll essentially put out a bid. Put out to bid if they're looking for certain things. So it might be you might have a company where you build programs for small children to teach them how to read English, because we have a lot of refugees in this area. So the city might put a bid out for ESL classes, and you might have a product of ESL classes that you can sell to the city. So look at what's out there, look at what's needed within the cities, and just start researching the things that are on EVA. I know recently there's a computer program that's used heavily in food services, and they put a bid out for a computer system. And what I thought was interesting was, these big companies, put their thing out, but there's some little tiny small company wrote that, they don't have the capacity to do it, but they would love to be able to be a partner for one of the big companies. And then then they wrote, what they had the ability to do. So, and that was just there. So now people could see what their capabilities were. And, and then they could partner with somebody else, because they were, they had the ability to get into, into spaces like rural spaces, where the big companies don't have that ability to be in rural spaces, because that's too much for them. So, this company was kind of thinking outside of the box. We can do these things for you, so that the big companies see that there's this other avenue, and then that other avenue is small business, and the small business is highly sought after in the States.
This has been amazing. This has been absolutely amazing.
Eventbrite will there's just certain things, Eventbrite will have there's so much going on in Eventbrite, so many free things on Eventbrite.
All right, what last words do you have that you would like to share for let's do two different ones. An aspiring business owner, they have a concept, they may have an idea, they may have a dream. What would you tell them? First step is,
to get yourself together and build your credit. Make sure you have a job where you're bringing in some income. And while you're bringing in income, start your plan. There's a company called Building in a Box, a business in a box, which you buy that and it tells you how to build your business. They have a great concept. So get yourself a job, start your plan, and while you're working, start meeting with all these organizations and learning how to do what you need to do to get your business together. And then when you're ready to launch, that's when you're going to, go to the SCC and get those things done. But talk to people, get out there, visit businesses, visit small businesses, and see what everybody else is doing. See, the most important thing to learn is what have people failed at. Because if you learn what they failed at, you can learn from their failure. You can learn from your own failure. What doesn't work is so much more important than what does work.
okay. So what about someone that has a business, may not be growing to scale as they dreamed or they thought it would, as they projected? What would you recommend them to do?
I would, again, talk to the small business people.
Is that SBA?
Yes. And then there's the small business, and there's a small business development center, which is the State of Virginia Small Business Development Center. They are, all these people are amazing. I have such incredible regard for these people. Small business development, they can talk to them about what your business is, what you're doing, and they can tell you what's working, and they might say, your business isn't going to do well here. Maybe you should think about taking your business here. Or, your business is great, but maybe if you added this, and this, or they might tell you that you need advertising, or they might tell you that you're too big and you're doing too many things and you need to scale back and only do a certain amount of things.
So that's awesome. Okay, how? Go ahead.
I've got one burning question.
Yes.
So for those of us, on the chat and elsewhere that maybe justice impacted, is what kind of things, like from a business starting wise, can we necessarily not do? So are we sometimes barred from getting a contract, like military related contracts, things like that?
So I think, again, the small business, development center, they're going to be able to tell you the ins and outs.
Gotcha.
I think a lot of people that are justice impacted do start their own businesses because they do have the flexibility to do them, and they can choose who they want to deal with. They can choose who they want to work with, and they can choose who they want to hire. So you might be justice impacted, but you might hire 5 people that aren't. You own the business, but you have this workforce that can go onto the military bases. So, just because you're justice impacted does not mean you don't have a future. It just means you have to think outside of the box. And I think people and organizations that think outside of the box are the ones that are going to be successful. When you think about, people that started building container homes, who thought that would be such an incredible business? And they were just trying to use up trash, and now container homes are all the rage, and now they're expensive. But, at first they were a cheap way to build a house. So thinking outside the box and, looking at the possibilities of what is needed. And I think, and again, looking at technology, looking at emerging technology, and what within emerging technology could you build a business around to support? There's a lot of wind energy going on. What supportive services do they need around that? So that's the way to get in a small business, is what is that thing? And Yep.
This is awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
We
it.
have the pick your brain. I'm still muted. Well, it's okay, they can hear me. We're gonna have to pick your brain just a little bit more. So I am so grateful, thankful that you came here on behalf of our board. Lynn, do you have anything you would like to say? You would like to talk on the camera?
Yes, hey everybody. Well, I just actually, this lady right here is how I got started, with Plan U, because it was an email, gosh, about a year ago that
Yeah.
you sent out, and I was like, wow, Plan U, this is something I totally align with, and a couple days later, Renita and I had an amazing, I kept poor Renita on the phone for like an hour and a half. But Jennifer, she is a rock star,
Thank
fellow
you.
workforce development professional. So just, wow, this was amazing. And wanted to give love to everybody out there in the well. And thank my wonderful coworker Priya for coming tonight. So,
Thank you.
all right.
And I think what LJ is saying is that connections, everything is about connections. If you want to build a business, you have to have connections. You've got to be out there talking, understanding, being around people. Building a small business is not for an introvert. You can't be an introvert. You have to be out there because you have to be talking to people and understanding what they're doing and how are they using the system as an advantage to build their business. And that I think is the key is how are you networking and how are you using the system and how are you using the programs that are out there, because there is money out there, but that money's not going to come at first. It's at first you have to build your business and then you can apply for grants and funding and things like that after having your business. And you build your business, you build it right, you do it right, then you go to a bank and start getting small loans. There is one of the classes that you will see every once in a while come up is a BAIL class, BAIL class. It's banker, attorney, insurance, and and I can't remember what they all are.
Lawyer.
No, that's attorney.
Oh.
Oh, no, okay, yeah, you're right. It's banker, accountant, insurance, and lawyer.
Yeah.
So yeah, the BAIL team, you need a banker, you need an accountant, you need insurance, and you need a lawyer. That's your BAIL team. So there are some classes about BAIL teams, which are very important because you need those people, in your business. It doesn't mean you need to have a full-time lawyer, but it needs you have to have someone you can count on. So you need to make sure that you research those people. Because I think one of the things I learned I was at a restaurant the other day, Frank's Monster Munchies in Hampton, and he feels that the success to a business is a good solid social media, a good solid social media presence. But you have to have a good company. You have to have a company that knows how to do social media, and so he has a great company. So that's we're on our phones all the time. If it's on TikTok, I know about it. So that's.
This again has been amazing. We are so grateful to have you. Looking forward to bringing you back. Thank you. How can we follow you on social media?
I am. I'm on LinkedIn at Jennifer Small. I don't post a lot, but if you look at who I'm following, those are the important people. I follow the important people on LinkedIn.
You want to follow her. If you're not following her, go to LinkedIn, Jennifer Small. You want to follow her. She's the woman behind everything.
No, I'm not.
She keeps her ears and eyes open.
I just believe in community, and I believe in partnerships, and I believe we're a stronger community with partnerships. And if you used to be my friend on LinkedIn, you may no longer be my friend on LinkedIn because my LinkedIn account died. I don't know what happened, and I just died.
Oh, no.
It just died, and then so I had to start a new one. I blame it on my phone.
Oh, no.
I got a brand new phone, but yeah. So if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, that would be. It wasn't that I unfriended you. It was that my LinkedIn account just died.
Well, you guys, we gotta get out of here. We thank you so much for those of you guys that are caught it live on both our YouTube page, our Facebook page, my personal page. Try to keep up with all the different pages. It was a little rough. So if we missed it, or if you catch the replay and you have questions, you can DM us. I also put our contact information, and I'll let it play down at the bottom. If you would like to donate, you can cash at us at Plan U Inc. 501c3. You can Zelle us at CFO@planuinc.com. Or if you would like to volunteer or chat with us, or if you are in need, give us a call at 757-561-0315 or email us at contact@planuinc.com. We are here to serve. We are here to help with whatever we can possibly help with. Yes, you do need to build a LinkedIn account if you do not have one. We want to be God's love in action, but not more importantly, but just as importantly, we want to ensure that your basic needs are met if you are in need. Because if you're hungry, you're really not thinking about much else. So, yet again, Plan U Inc. in the building. It's something about her. Yes, we are mixing it up because we want you to be successful in every aspect of your life. Mind, soul, body, and your pocketbook. So until next time, we will see you again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.